One of the biggest fitness innovations in home fitness tech over the past few years has been the introduction of digitally loaded strength equipment. Equipment that is space efficient yet able to provide enough loading to create gym-worthy strength results without having to dedicate an entire garage just for that purpose. There are a few things that I think makes Innodigym unique. Most compelling of all may be its price point, which ranges from $599 for the P1 Lite to $1,799 for the P1 Max, which when compared to the competition is significantly lower in price, even though it has more weight loading capacity than almost all of them. Okay, so first off, Innodigym currently offers 3 different models. The P1 Lite, which costs $599 and can be loaded up to 133 pounds. Next is the P1 Plus, which I don't have here, and that one costs $1,199 and can be loaded up to 198 pounds. So similar loading to that of Speediance or Tonal. And then there is the P1 Max, which costs $1,799, and this one can be loaded up to a whopping 330 pounds, which is quite a bit more than most other options outside of the Vitruvian trainer. Now, there's also more differences between the Innodigym P1 Lite and P1 Max besides just the loading capacity, and we'll get into that later. But first, I want to spend most of the time in this review discussing the P1 Max, because that is the one that I think most will be interested in given both its price and high loading capacity. So the P1 Max is a platform that sits about 4.3 inches off the ground with a 20 by 40 inch width and length. So pretty close in size to the Vitruvian trainer, which is nice in that it can easily fit under a bed frame for those who don't have the space to dedicate for it. It also has wheels underneath, which while small, do a decent enough job making transportation easier. Now, one thing that I do really want to mention here is that unlike most other options, the Innodigym P1 Max, as well as the other models, can all be adjusted through controls on the equipment itself, so you don't need to use an app on your phone, though that is available as well. And from these controls, you can adjust both the weight and the lifting mode options. There are 3 lifting mode options on the P1 Max to choose from. There's a standard mode, which is what it sounds like, so the load feels exactly the same on the way up as it is on the way down, and this is the mode that I and I think most other people will use most often. Then there is the eccentric mode, which allows you to add more weight to the eccentric or lowering portion of the movement. It unfortunately doesn't let you see or adjust how much it is loaded eccentrically, so I'm not really sure, maybe about 25% more, but it's really hard to tell. And then there's a chain mode, and this one gets heavier as you lift the weight, so a great option for those who enjoy speed work, though again, you can't really see or adjust how much more it's being loaded from the bottom to the top. There's also an additional 4th mode here, though I was only able to get it to work on the P1 Lite and not the P1 Max, and that is what Innodigym calls its speed mode. And this mode just adjusts the loading to keep the speed of the movement constant. So basically, the faster you move, the heavier the load will be, and this is something that is more geared towards rehab purposes than regular weight training. Now, in terms of loading, as I mentioned, the P1 Max can be loaded up to 330 pounds, though you will see it adjusted by kilograms per arm. So for example, if it says 30 on the display, that means it is being loaded for 30 kilos on each side for a total of 60 kilos or 132 pounds. Now, one thing that I have to mention here is that when we discuss digital loading, typically what you see is that the weight on the machine will feel heavier than that same loading with free weights. Now, in order to turn the weight on and off, you can do so via the app, the buttons on the equipment, and for the P1 Max, the handles and barbells are also connected to the machine via Bluetooth, so you can press a button on either to quickly load or unload the weight. Now, in terms of accessories, the Innodigym P1 Max comes with handles, a barbell, a belt strap, and an ankle strap, and the quality here is okay. It doesn't feel necessarily cheap, but they also don't feel like premium accessories either. The barbell grip feels grippy, which is good, but there's nothing really to indicate where the center of the bar is, and so it does take a while to get used to. And given that the handles and barbell use Bluetooth to turn the weight on and off, there are batteries that will need to be changed at some point, though whether that will be a month or a year, I'm not sure. Additionally, the Innodigym P1 Max comes with speakers, which will announce when the weight is loaded and unloaded, and can also connect to your phone to play music of your choice if you'd like. And like I mentioned, there is an app for Innodigym which you can control and adjust the loading with. It also has some workouts that you can choose from and some basic tracking and workout builders. Now, the P1 Lite at just $599 is much smaller and only capable of 133 pounds of resistance. It is pretty tiny at just 2.1 inches thick and has about a 14 by 30 inch width and length. And so it is very easy to pick up and move around, and it even has these nice handles that can pop out to make carrying it even easier. And it too has the various smart modes, though I'm not sure you necessarily need all the smart modes with this low of loading, but it's nice that it's there as an option. And like the P1 Max, it can be controlled via buttons on the machine itself, so the app is not necessary. Now, one thing that is cool here is that you can optionally order a wall mount, so this can be placed on a wall as well, which makes it pretty versatile for you to be able to do whatever movements that you'd like to use it for. So look, I think the Innodigym P1 Lite and especially the P1 Max are pretty compelling alternatives to the more popular digital loading machines like Tonal and Vitruvian, especially when you consider its price. I wouldn't say I would recommend this to everybody, but if you wanted to save some money and this looks like it has everything that you'd like it to have, it may certainly be worth considering. As always, appreciate you being here. This is Colin Jenkins with Connect the Watts, and I'll see you next time.